I'm going to be telling my testimony of how God saved me. There's so many times that he saved me, but this is one particular instance where he did it big, he did it great. Usually we talk about testimonies, but throughout my life I've learned to call them mile markers. See, on the road of life, God puts little things along the way that remind us of where he's brought us from and where he's taken us to. So I'm excited to share you one of my mile markers. It was May 31st, 2011. I was on my way back to Huntsville, Alabama from Toronto, Canada, and it was probably about 9:30 I left. So I was on the road, approaching the border, about 45 minutes away from the border. I was listening to my music in my car. I had a nice black Volvo S60. It was my pride and joy. So I was driving, I was on cruise control about 70 miles an hour, just relaxing, listening to an audiobook. Now this audiobook was of the book called The Shack. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's an awesome book. I was just relaxing, had my feet tucked under, shoes off, just relaxed, cruise control, going about 70 miles per hour, and just taking in all the scenery, looking side to side, taking in all the scenery, and out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, a deer. Deer comes in the road, and you know when you see a deer, you're supposed to hold onto the wheel tight, and you're supposed to, just ram right through it. Did I do that? No, because I was so relaxed, and I wasn't really aware that it was there. As soon as I turned back, I saw it, and I jerked the wheel. Now, once I jerked that wheel, car was gone forever. It was a heavy vehicle, so I was trying to get it back, and like 2 seconds later, I felt myself going into the ditch. That's when I just let go, went down into the ditch, and went back up on the other side, and I felt the car just start spinning in the air, just torpedoing through the sky, if you please. I remember spinning about twice, and then blackout. Apparently, I was thrown from the vehicle. I ended up on the wrong side of the highway, face down, thrown from the vehicle. I scraped off this whole side of my face, road rash. I punctured my lung. I cracked 2 ribs. I had a big hematoma, big contusion on my leg, just cuts and bruises everywhere, glass in my hand, lying on the highway unconscious, about 11 o'clock at night. This is a truck route, and it's no one to be found. And it just so happens that a police officer happened to be passing by. I don't know how long I was laying there. I don't know how long it was in between when I fell out of the car or when I was thrown from the car, how long I've been laying on the highway, but he was there. He came right on time, and he swooped me up. He called the emergency services. I was in the ambulance. I remember giving my parents' number. I remember giving my aunt's number and blacking out again in the ambulance. I looked at my hands. I saw glass in my hands, just bloody, just bruises all over my body. Have you ever been in so much pain that it just doesn't hurt? You see all the bruises, you see all the cuts, you see everything like that, and it just doesn't hurt. You can't even feel the pain. I was in that much pain that I couldn't even feel it. Before they even gave me the meds, I couldn't feel the pain, but I knew I was hurt. And some of us are we're in so much pain that we don't even feel it anymore. We're numb. We're numb to what we're going through in our lives because we've gone through so much, and it gets to a point where we just don't feel it anymore. And that's how I felt in that hospital room, sitting there, looking at myself, just wondering, how am I gonna heal from this? How am I gonna be made whole again? So it got to the point where I was sitting in the hospital, looking at myself, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. Something said to me, write down how you feel. So that's what I began to do. I started taking pictures of how I looked, and I began to write how I felt. I wrote about the whole experience. I started chronicling exactly what happened. I told the story of how I was on my way home, and then I started talking about me going into surgery. I started talking about my father and how he handled the whole situation. I started talking about how I was dealing with the whole situation. And then it grew into a book about my healing process, about the healing process. And it wasn't just my healing process, it was the healing process of those around me. Because as I was healing, those around me were healing. And they were understanding things about themselves that they had never seen before. And I was learning things about me that I'd never known before if I hadn't been in this experience. And sometimes we are placed in experiences to learn about ourselves, learn something new, and to expand our horizons, if you please. I mean, God has so much that he wants to show us, but we are so stubborn, so closed that sometimes he has to break us open. He has to break us open and let some things out. And that's what he was doing with me in that process at the hospital in writing. He broke me and he let some things out. And he allowed me to heal and let some things go. And man, that healing process was amazing. I mean, I stand here today as a living testimony of how I overcame that. I stand here as a living testimony of how God can heal. I'm living on purpose. That's just living my life in the will of God. It's simply just walking in what he has called me to do. I don't ask questions, I just do. So I encourage you, every day when you wake up, seek God's face, because he has a plan for your life. And I'm inviting you to live on purpose.
My lips are flowing with your praise. You're an awesome God. You're a mighty God. I worship you today. We lift our hands in adoration to your name.